Well, really three things came together. The first was when I was doing clinical medicine, it was very clear to me that the patients we were seeing in hospital were coming from a set of social conditions which were impacting on their health. And as I say, the first line of the book, why treat people and send them back to the conditions that made them sick? And that relates to the second, that the whole idea of simply treating people with heart failure, respiratory failure, is very important, but then they'd come back. We'd treat them, send them away, and back they'd come. And I kept thinking, we should be doing something about preventing this. And the third was an interest in research. I mean, that's what I wanted to do, but then I chose my research area to look at the social conditions that impact on people's health that could potentially help them to stay healthy, prevent disease. People think that inequalities in health is confined to the very obvious problem that poor people have poor health. And it's easy enough to think why that's the case. Poverty of material conditions, poor food, and the like. What I showed in my study of civil servants, the Whitehall studies, is for people who are not poor, because people working for the government are not very poor. I mean, they may not be rich. And even the ones at the top are not the richest. They're no bankers or hedge fund managers. Amongst these people, there was a very clear hierarchy. And the higher you were in the hierarchy, the better your health and the longer your life expectancy. So it wasn't about the poor, it wasn't about the rich, but something about where you are in the hierarchy. It now turns out that that's a remarkably robust finding. We see that not just in British civil servants, we see it in the country as a whole, we see it all across Europe, we see it in Latin America, we see it in Asia, we see it everywhere. It's a remarkably robust finding that inequalities in health are not confined to poor health for the poor and reasonable health for everybody else, but the fact that it's socially graded means that we have to address not only poverty, but inequality. So the implications, both for research and for policy, are really quite profound, because we want not only to reduce poverty, but to improve things for the whole society and reduce inequality. Italy looks pretty good. I mean, Western European countries look pretty good on the whole. And among European countries, just taking one simple measure, life expectancy, Italy is among the higher and relatively narrow inequalities. So it's both looks good, relatively speaking, compared with other countries, and relatively narrow inequalities. But that's not a recipe for simply saying, we Italians don't have to worry. I finish my book by saying, do something, do more, do better. So if you're doing nothing at all, do something, it'll make a difference. If you're doing some things, do more. And if you're doing well, like Italy, like the Nordic countries, do better. And the Nordic countries, for example, who, like Italy, are doing well, they're extremely enthusiastic about my message. All over Sweden, they're setting up Marmot reviews to look at how we can reduce inequalities further and do better. So I'd say that's where Italy is. Do something, do more, do better.